Susan and myself. And later down the line, John was born. Now, Dad could see the writing on the wall at the meatworks, so he thought, well, bugger this. I'll go up there and see if I can find a job. Well, he got one the next day. Come home, told us all, so we all moved up, packed up to Ayr. Now, he had a job at the mill, but Mum never had nothing. So the most wonderful neighbours of ours, as we call them today, Mr. Don and Auntie Chris, he owned a cane farm. So he said to Mum, do you want a job? I'll give you a job out in the stripping cane. And Mum sort of looked at him thinking, well, stripping cane? Coming from country town, she probably thought, well, where do you do this? Anyway, his Mum was a very hard worker. She was always found in the paddocks, stripping cane, with us kids sitting in the car. And this went on for weeks. In the afternoon, she'd take us home, bath us, feed us, and we'd sit there, wait for Dad to get home from the mill. Then she'd pack up, jump in the car, and she scored a little job at Mr. and Mrs. Bernardo's Club Hotel in Brandon, where she worked as a barmaid for, be over 20 years, I reckon. A strange career choice for Mum because she never drank alcohol in her life. In them days, she didn't have too much trouble in the pubs, but when she did, she'd call out to June Spelter. June would come running around the corner with the biggest broom she could find and give them all a towel. And that was the end of that. Out you go. But every job Mum took on, in the hours she worked and put in, was one reason, and one reason only. It was a very important one for her. It was to make sure us kids never went without. If Mum bought something for me, it cost $5 or $1. Everyone, the other kids got one, whether it be $1 or a token or a voucher. She never left one of us out. And she still continued this on until her passing. Now, she tried to teach us a few principles along the line, me being the most behaved one out of them all. Supposed to be at the gym doing some boxing training. But we decided to go for a ride near Pushy, start rocking a few roofs. Well, the cops caught the other boys, but they didn't catch us. We were hiding up a tree. So I thought I got away with it, but when I got home, the cops had already been round because the other boys dobbed on us. So she grabbed me by the ear, threw me in the car, and marched me straight up the cop shop. And that was a really good principle to learn. You know, one of life's lessons and something she taught me to stand up and face what you did. And she always installed in us, if for any reason, oh no, I mucked that up, didn't I? She installed us about stealing and taking something that's not yours or something you didn't pay for. It was not on. Which brings me to her Sydney trips down to see Dad's brother and family down there. We probably wouldn't do it every year, but every couple of years we'd go down there. Make the big journey. We wouldn't buy any presents until we got there and just save a bit of room in the car. So she used to take us to a big shopping centre down there. I think it was Bankstown or Blackstown, I can't remember. And we'd go and do our shopping there and have an ice cream and a bit of fish and chips or something after in the food mart and away we come home. But this one particular time, Mum, we went down to get a toy for John, and he loved his Star Wars stuff. So we went into this big shopping centre, mind you, like the shopping centre down there, probably the whole size of Marinda. We didn't have nothing in there. It was either Toy World or Tommy Tyres. So we're in this big shopping centre searching around, found the toy shop, got in there, got the toy, R2D2 or whatever, I can't remember what it was. We're standing at the checkout. Half an hour had gone past and there's nobody. Another half an hour gone past, still nobody. And I'm tugging on Mum's dress. Come on, just throw it in your bag and let's get out of here. So we waited another 15 minutes and she said, right, that's it. So she threw it in the bag and away we marched down the road. Through the oilways, flat out 100 mile an hour, the end of the car. We got in the car and she took off. Back to Windsor in Wilberforce. That's where we were staying with the great-grandparents. And all the way home she's yelling at me. Make sure, keep a look out that back door, the police are going to chase us. I said, yeah, righto, Mum. Me being a bit of a smarty, didn't realise we didn't get ice cream or fish and chips, did we? But that was, yeah, getting her to take that was unbelievable. So anyway, Christmas Day comes around. And we all started opening our presents. John's put his together, put the batteries in it, and he's yelled out, it's not working. So we all give him a hand, had a look around. No, wasn't working. The first thing she did was turn around and look at me. She said, oh, bloody told you so. So yeah, I was in it again. My mum was a very social person and made many cherished and lifetime friends. And Dad's family down south, she wasn't just Phil's wife or sister-in-law, she was a family. And I think Kay and Faye treated her like a sister, and they all were the same. Also, Mum enjoyed a bit of travelling from time to time. When she wasn't tripping around Australia with Dad, coming up to Darwin to see us, she was often on a plane or a ship travelling overseas, where once again she forged a lot of good friends. And I can still remember Susan telling me once in London they were standing at the gates of Buckingham Palace. She turned to Sue and she said, how did a kid from Renda get here? And that way she never lost or forgot where she came from. A wife, a mother, a mother-in-law, a grand, a great-grand, she instilled great values and amazing worth ethics into us. And each and every time one of us will love, miss her dearly and share an incredible life story forever. Mum, we will always love you, respect you, what you did for us. And showed us to appreciate what we had, even if sometimes it was only very little. We have continued to install those values into our children, and hopefully they will do the same to their generation to come. Mum, again, thank you for making our family what it is today. We will always love you and remember you in everything we do daily. But last but not least, we'd like to thank everyone from the Bowen Hospital, the staff, the cleaners, the paramedics, the doctors, the nurses. They were so well to us up there. Looked after us. Whatever we needed, they give us. And I'd also like to thank West Sunday Funeral Service for this today. Last but not least, I'd like to thank my brother John for putting in the hours and the time that he did. Leanne for helping out Dad and us at the same time. Nathan and Lashmi for being there for those days and nights when we needed a hand. And last but not least, my sister Susan, we gave a job away and spent hours, endless hours, months with her up the hospital, every day, every night, holding her hand. It, it's just phenomenal what she did. So to you, very big thank you. And thank you very much. God bless.
Okay, I've got some messages from family and friends who were unable to make it today. They're from interstate, and it's pretty hard, as you know, what's going on at the moment. So um, it's from the Turnbull family in New South Wales, Philip's brother John and wife Valmay, and their children and grandchildren. While we couldn't be there in person, we wanted to share some words and memories about the great times that we all had as a family and how lucky we've been to have had Loretta in our lives. There are a lot of good memories of family holidays to the creek or during the many visits to Sydney. From her niece Donna. I never liked seafood until Auntie Loretta made it for me when we went to the creek. I loved her food. She was a great cook. When I think of Auntie Loretta, I can see her standing in the kitchen with a towel over her shoulder while cooking. Love to you all from Donna. No matter how long it was between visits, she always gave us the biggest hug. No matter how much time that had passed between visits, it always felt like you had seen each other yesterday. And she would often say how good that was. That was love from Stacey, Craig, Charlie and Isaac. Unfortunately, due to the distance and the unpredictability of the COVID pandemic, we are unable to be with our family today to farewell Auntie Loretta. But hopefully sharing our memories with you will show how much she was loved by us all. Auntie Loretta, when I think of you, I firstly remember your smile, your laugh, and how much you would give a gentle back rub with all the hugs you gave. We lived so far away from each other, but there was always so much fun and laughter and love when we would all get together. You would always remark that even though we lived so far apart, when we all got together, we all got along so well, and there was always lots of good belly laughs and storytelling and fun. I remember when you would come to Sydney to visit and we would put on our little shows at Nan and Pop Turnbull's, dancing and singing. Greg and John not so impressed. We always did a day trip to Sydney by train to visit a museum, the zoo, a ferry ride, or to a theatre show. We would walk and talk all day. We would come home exhausted, but always had a great time. We also loved our trips to Queensland and, of course, to the creek. Auntie Loretta, with a tea towel over her shoulder in the hut, and Uncle Phil filleting the fish on the table outside. I believe my love for reading was initiated by Auntie Loretta. She introduced me to the true crime and murder mystery novels. Over the years, we had many chats about books we had read and wanted to read, and often swapping books to read also. She also loved the movies, and I will miss our chats about movies or shows we had seen. I also loved to hear about the wonderful trips she had done with Sue. Auntie Loretta, this world will not be the same without you. You will truly be missed. I will treasure all the wonderful memories of our family we have made and hold dear to my heart. Rest in peace, Auntie Loretta. Love from Michelle and Glenn. From her great niece, Kate, I will always cherish all the memories made with her, like shopping with us in town, she always enjoyed a day out and all our trips to the creek. Auntie Loretta made the yummiest curried crab. I still always say it's the best. She would let me paint her toenails in the thickest glitter polish, and we did a shocking job. But she told us we loved them even after we found out it wasn't very easy to remove. She always did everything to make sure she looked after you before herself. On many occasions, us, the New South Wales Turnbulls, would make a trip from Windsor to Ayr to have holidays with the Queensland Turnbulls and vice versa. I remember laughing with Auntie Loretta when she told me about Greg not wanting to come to Sydney because of all the girls. With Susan, there was 4 of us girls. All the adults would have to sit on the veranda at Nan and Pop's place at Wilberforce. Us girls would do a performance for our captive audience. Why none of us ended up on the screen or the stage is beyond me. I don't remember Greg watching, but he was always probably inside crying. Too many girls. Auntie Loretta often told me how much she loved our shows in these times. I'll never forget our trips to Ayr and Christmas at the creek. Thank you for making so many memories special, Auntie Loretta. And it's love from Jacqueline, Rick, Grace and Darcy. I am saddened by the loss of my dear Auntie Loretta. She would always remark that she has been lucky and had a good life, but her loss is still felt deeply. She would be so happy to see how Edith is growing. After Edith was born, she would say to Mum on their phone calls, how's our baby going, Valmay? I will miss the visits, laughs, and the long, interesting chats we have had about books, my work, movies, travel, or more than often about nothing in particular. I am forever grateful that she always thought of me and reached out to me when things were tough, sending me a card, a little gift, or a letter. She had beautiful handwriting. Once a lovely book of poetry that she specially found for me, and she had even marked some verses for me to read. These are the things I will treasure. She made everyone feel loved. She was a special person, and I will miss her greatly. Thinking of you all and sending my love from Rebecca and Vaughan. From Loretta's sister-in-law, Valmay. I first met Loretta in 1964 when we went to Bowen and Marinda for our honeymoon. On the first visit, I knew we were going to be friends for life after she gave me birth control advice. If we could talk about that, then we would go on to be friends, and who could talk to each other about anything, and we did. We had many holidays together all over Australia. We went to shows and trips to Sydney on the trains, and the kids were great fun. On one of the trips, we went to Darwin, and she said that she saw some of Darwin when she was with me. Then she had in all the other years she had been going there. Loretta, I will miss our long talks on the phone and will think of you and miss you always. Love, Valmay. And lastly, from Loretta's brother-in-law, John. I remember all the times we went fishing in the tinnies together at the creek, and her delicious curried crab. She would always look after me well when I went to stay. When we would get a good catch of crab and cook them up, I was always amused, Loretta, by the way. I always amused Loretta by the way I would sit at the outside table with a hammer and just eat the crabs just like that. I think that's the only way to eat a crab, isn't it? Yeah. To Phil, Greg, Sue, John and their families, know we are thinking of you through this difficult time. The loss of Loretta is enormous for us all. Know we are there in thought to hug, laugh, and to cry with you. Rest in peace. Loretta, you are one of a kind, a genuinely good person, a caring auntie and great auntie, and a wonderful sister-in-law, and will be terribly missed by us all, but never forgotten. Just like to read this letter. It was to Susan, and it was from Edna, which was Loretta's neighbour in Ayr, and they become really, really great friends. Granny Christ. Dear Susan, how sad I am here to hear of your dear mother's passing. May she rest in eternal peace. She was a much-loved friend, a much-loved mother, a much-loved wife. So sad to hear of her passing. She was the hardest working person that I ever knew. She worked hard at home. She worked hard at the pub. She stripped cane. What didn't she do? She had earned her eternal rest. When we lost Peter, I wouldn't have survived without your mum. She looked after me, she really did. She was a caring, compassionate friend and didn't deserve the end that she got. A funny memory that I have is when she picked Philip up from the golf club and he got out of the car and fell over and she left him there all night. Oh dear. She really loved and spoiled all of you kids because that's who she was, so generous and loving. Your mum made the most beautiful pumpkin scones, cakes and biscuits. She was just the best cook. The many years that we lived next door and were good friends is a very cherished memory. She was such a support through the good times and the bad. I want to offer these words of comfort. Just remember that you had the best mother ever, that she loved, looked after and cared for you all so very much. She will now be looking over you all and you will feel her forever in your hearts, I am sure. Thanks for the memories, Loretta. God bless her and may she rest in peace. And love from Edna. It was Granny Christ. Now I'd like to invite anybody else who would like to come up and say a few words. Come up now.
Thank you. Good morning, everyone. My name is Dennis McCloskey, and I'm just looking down there now, and I can see Terry Beasley down there, and my sister Maureen Peach. And we have one thing in common with Loretta. One of our parents, either our mother or our father, was a McCloskey. And the McCloskeys were on a cane farm at Sherborne, which is just outside Garoo. My father and Loretta's mother were twins, and they grew up on that cane farm there at Sherborne. And I don't think I'd be far wrong in saying that Loretta was our favourite cousin. I associate Loretta and Phil very much with Meatworks Creek. And I started visiting Meatworks Creek in about 1958 or 1960 when my father would put me on the rail motor and I'd run down the line on the rail motor to Marinda. I'd be picked up there by Auntie May, spend a short period of time with her, and then my Uncle Les would take me down to Meatworks Creek, where the fishing and crabbing and drinking, I wasn't involved in the drinking, but not then anyway. But what a wonderful place to go when you're 10 or 12 years old, living down there beside Meatworks Creek. only a few years ago, I've kept going back to Meatworks Creek. Only a few years ago, I turned up at Meatworks Creek with about a dozen teachers from Ignatius Park College, where I was a teacher. And I rang Loretta up and said, these guys are all keen fishermen, and I told them about Meatworks Creek and they want to come down. Now, looking back in retrospect, that was a bit much to ask of Loretta and Phil. Phil, you'd remember that visit very well. But we were welcomed with open arms, and we went down there and had a great time there for a few days. And Loretta and Phil's hospitality was outstanding. And you've got to remember that the only person among that group that they actually knew was myself. So, and what's been said already by Greg and in some of those letters about Loretta's cooking skills is undeniable. She really was a very good cook. Loretta was a wonderful person. As I said before, I consider her to be my favourite cousin. Sorry about that, Terry. Can you handle that? She was a person who loved her family. She talked all the time about people like Nathan, for example. Nathan was the golden-haired boy, and rightly so. She loved tripping around. She paid regular visits up to Townsville, used to stay with my sister Maureen up there when she was in Townsville. And she was a bit like our grandmother. She liked to have her bum in the seat of a car, going somewhere whenever she possibly could. Something else I recall about her, I can't imagine her ever getting cranky or angry about anything. Now, I don't know, Susan and Greg and John might disagree with me there, but I certainly never ever saw it happen. Phil might disagree too. I've never heard that story before about leaving you out in the yard all night, so that was a bit harsh, I thought. We'll miss her. What a wonderful person she was, and it's a little bit sad to think that we'll never be able to have a conversation with her again, but we're not here to be sad. We're here to celebrate her life. And on behalf of the McCloskey part of the family tree, I'd like to pass on our deepest sympathies to Phil and the family. So we wish you well.
Today we have shared only a small part of Loretta's life, but I'm sure you will have memories, many, many memories, and the stories to share with each other over the many years to come. But as we farewell Loretta, you can take satisfaction that she has been and still is a part of your life. I'd like to read to you a poem I've chosen for the family today called Dear Friends, I Go. Dear friends, I go, do not weep. I've lived my life so full and deep. Throughout my life, I gave my best. I earned my keep. I've earned my rest. I never tried to be great or grand. I tried to be a helping hand. If I helped in a team, if I helped on my own, it was more than repaid by good family and friends I have known. And if I went the extra mile, I did it with pleasure. It was all worthwhile. If I brightened your path, then let it be a small contribution from my loved ones and me. Now sadly I leave you and travel alone through a mystic veil to the great unknown, with such beautiful memories that will forever be the way that I hoped you will remember me. Now those who would like to join me, may we now say the Lord's Prayer. Our Father, which art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done in earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive them that trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, the power, and the glory, for ever and ever. Amen. I now ask the family, followed by Loretta's friends, to come forward to place flowers onto the coffin and say goodbye if you wish to do so. Then can we all be seated for our final farewell?
I did forget something, not like me. If you're wondering why the rake and the broom's on the coffin, whether it be at home or down the creek, she never had one out of her hand. So we thought if she gets up there and there's a bit of a mess, she might want to do a bit of cleaning up. So thank you very much, everyone.
I'd like to read this poem that has been chosen by the family for today. It's called God Only Takes the Best. A golden heart stopped beating, hard-working hands at rest. It broke our hearts to see you go. God only takes the best. They say that memories are golden. Well, maybe that is true. But we never wanted memories, we only wanted you. Your life was love and labour, your love for your family true. You did your best for all of us, we will always remember you. We sat beside your beside. Our hearts were crushed and sore. We did our duty to the end till we could do no more. In tears we watched you sinking, we watched you fade away. And though our hearts were breaking, we knew you could not stay. Our lips cannot speak how much we loved you, our hearts cannot tell what to say. But God only knows how we miss you in our home that is lonely today. Ladies and gentlemen, as we're coming to the conclusion of the service today, once again I'd like to thank you for being here to show your support for the family. They would like you to join them for refreshments and to share your memories of Loretta together here at the chapel. So may we all be standing now for our final medal. We give thanks to Loretta for the person she was and for the influence she has had on your life. We thank her for everything she meant to us, for the time she spent with us. We remember her smile, her frown, her courage and strength. We remember the times you laughed and the times you cried. The tears you cry here today are of love, and it is with this love that we tenderly and reverently commit the body of Loretta Edna Turnbull to nature's keeping. We give thanks for her life. We remember with gratitude her deep love for her family, her sense of fun and her generous heart. May any regrets we feel today be turned into gratitude for the time we have spent with Loretta. And may the chill of darkness of death give way to the warmth and the sunshine of her memory that we will cherish forever. To Philip, Susan, Greg and John and all of your families, our hearts and thoughts are with you. I hope that reflecting on the wonderful memories that you have will help you through this time of sadness. And may your loving memories of Loretta be the strength and the comfort to carry you on, for your precious memories will never depart, and the Loretta you know will remain in your heart. So, until we meet again, Loretta, may you forever rest in peace. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. May we now give our support and friendship to the family, and may you find strength in your love for one another, and may you find peace in your hearts. Thank you.
It's only a heartbeat away. When I need love, I hold out my hands and I touch love. I never knew there was so much love keeping me warm night and day. Miles and miles of empty space in between us. A telephone can't take the place of your smile. But you know I won't be traveling forever. It's cold out, but hold out and do like I do when I need you. I just close my eyes and I'm with you. And all that I so wanna give you, babe, it's only a heartbeat away. It's not easy when the road is your driver. Honey, that's a heavy load that we bear. But you know I won't be traveling a lifetime. It's cold out, but hold out and do like I do. Oh, I need you. When I need love, I hold out my hands and I touch love. I never knew there was so much love keeping me warm night and day. When I need you, I just close my eyes and you're right here by my side, keeping me warm night and day. I just hold out my hands, I just hold out my hand, and I'm with you, darling. Yes, I'm with you, darling. All I wanna give you, it's only a heartbeat away. Oh, I need you, darling.
Thank you, everyone.